a terrible feeling to have your heart and your mouth and your mind set on biting into that crispy chicken biscuit or chicken sandwich topped with Chick-Fil-A sauce and maybe some pickles on the side too, only to realize it's Sunday and Chick-fil-A is closed. Well, no worries, because I'm going to show you how to make your own Chick-fil-A at home. As always, the recipe and full ingredients can be found in the description box below. Let's start by making a marinade for our chicken using whole buttermilk, hot sauce, and your favorite poultry seasoning. I'm using my Spiced Living rotisserie chicken seasoning, which is perfect for any kind of chicken. It is definitely multi-use, multi-purpose, and you can find it at www.spicedliving.com. Once you have everything added, you can mix well. And if you want to make this really, really hot, definitely increase the amount of hot sauce that you use in your marinade. I'm using about 3 very large boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I cut each breast up into about 4 or 5 pieces. Do not worry or think that those pieces that you cut are small. This breading that we use is going to be very thick and crispy, and it's going to make your breast appear and be much bigger. So definitely cut those into tiny portions because you want your breast to cook all the way through. Make sure that your chicken is submerged well and it is covered fully by the marinade. After you have done that, just cover this bowl that you're using with some saran wrap. You can stick this in the fridge for a few hours, or you can leave it in as short as an hour. It's totally up to you. Of course, the longer you leave it in, the more flavor it will take. Now, I don't like to wash dishes, so I didn't grab a bowl. I grabbed a half pan, but you can grab a large bowl or you can grab a half pan like me. And you want to add in some flour, some cornstarch, and some baking powder, and give it a nice mix together. After our chicken has finished marinating, we're going to add this flour to the reserve marinade, and we're going to make almost like a pancakey type batter. So you can set that aside for now. Let's go ahead and crank these biscuits out. You see, I have my homegirl back, Miss Sifter. You know I love her. She's good and faithful, and she's a loyal, good girlfriend. If you have not watched my buttermilk pancake video, watch it today. You will meet her for the first time, and you will be in love. Sift together some flour, baking powder, salt, and baking soda. Next, we'll be adding in your shortening, your butter, and your buttermilk. It is so crucial to a biscuit to make sure that your shortening, your buttermilk, and your butter are really cold. And actually, I like to freeze mine. I'm over the top, but I do take a lot of breaks in between cooking to tend to the kids. And you really have to work fast when it comes to making a great biscuit. And you want to make sure that those things are cold. My butter here too, you see I'm grating it in. It's actually frozen. I really want to make sure that I'm not panicking because the butter starts to melt in my hand, but just make sure that your items are really, really cold or possibly even frozen. To cut in my ingredients, I'm using a tool that you can find on Amazon. It is called a pastry blender. It is very inexpensive and it's easy to use. Last step in this process is to add in your buttermilk. Remember, make sure it's cold, maybe even a little slushy if you want to leave it in the freezer just for a few minutes. But here's the key to the buttermilk. I prefer whole buttermilk. I understand that not all grocery stores, they don't always have whole buttermilk. So if you have to get low fat, that's fine. If you're using whole buttermilk, you probably will need about 2.5 cups of buttermilk. If you're using low fat, you can probably get away with 2 cups. You want your biscuit mixture to be kind of wet, not extremely dry, but you need to be able to maneuver. So if you need to add in some milk to loosen it up, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and flour a surface, and we're going to just kind of work our dough. Because I'm not using any yeast in this recipe, the process of kneading is going to be pretty simple, straightforward, and it's not going to require a lot. It only is going to take maybe about 10 to 12 times to get this exactly where I want. And notice that I'm just adding a very small amount of flour as I go along. Everything seems to be pretty well incorporated now, and so I'm going to get ready just to shape this so I can punch out my biscuits. I'm going to measure out how tall I want my biscuits. This is definitely something that is up to you and your preference. To bake my biscuits, I'm using my cast iron biscuit pan. She looked like she'd been through the war, but that's because my husband, who is the resident dishwasher, does not treat my cast irons with care. He doesn't watch this, so I can talk about him on here. Don't y'all say nothing either. I'm going to melt slithers of butter before I put this dough inside the pan. You can find these cutters at Amazon, or you can go to any kitchen store. Pretty easy to find and pretty easy to use. If you do not have a cast iron pan like the one I'm using, you can totally use a casserole dish. Just make sure that you space your biscuits out apart so they do not stick to each other. Sometimes when they stick to each other, they tend to take a little longer to cook. You can also use a baking sheet. If you use a baking sheet, make sure you line it with parchment and do not butter the bottom of it. So note that you will not get as a buttery of a biscuit. So I would recommend that you definitely use cast iron or a casserole dish. My pan is slightly warm to touch, but my butter has melted. Make sure that your butter just melts. You do not want to brown or burn your butter. Although I did not do it here, I actually forgot to do it. Make sure that you brush the tops of your biscuits with buttermilk before you put them into the oven. And voila, they are done. And I'm going to brush the tops with some honey butter, which is simply just some honey mixed in with some butter. And it's hot, but I just want y'all to see the goodness that is this biscuit, baby. You'll see that mine is slightly overcooked on the bottom, but it's still going to taste just as great. Time to finish up with this chicken. Remove your chicken from the marinade, but remember to reserve the marinade. Do not throw it away because we need to add that flour mixture into this marinade mixture, and we're going to make what I would call a pancake batter. It's not pancakes. Do not try to make pancakes with this, but I want the consistency to resemble pancake batter, which means you may need to add in some more buttermilk to loosen it up. Now that I've gotten this to where I wanted, it's time to coat and fry our chicken. I'm using that same half pan and I'm just adding straight flour to this pan. I'm going to dip the chicken in the flour first, and then I'm going to dip it into my pancakey mix, and I'm going to dip it back into the flour. After that, I'm just going to set it aside until I have all of my pieces ready, and then I'm going to drop it into my fryer. Now, y'all, I would be lying if I told you that this was not a messy job. It's messy. You see, I have on my gloves. Put some gloves on, especially for my sisters that got those stiletto, coffin nails, the little long, cute nails. Baby, you're going to have all kinds of flour and buttermilk stuck up in those nails. So make sure you put on some gloves to do this job. Now that I've gotten every piece coated, I'm ready for the fryer. I'm using my deep fryer, but you can use any type of fryer that you want. If you have a cast iron pan, that's great. Just make sure that you add enough oil that it will cover the chicken, and heat your oil till about 375 degrees. Y'all should see me dancing right about now. Who needs Chick-Fil-A? Not you, not me, not us, not we. Baby, we have a perfectly crispy, tender piece of chicken that is ready for our biscuit. But next we have to check the temperature. It is super important that you check the temperature of each piece of chicken, because you will see that this cooks fast because of this buttermilk mixture. Chicken should be heated and cooked to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So far, all of my chicken is at the level that we need so that it's safe, except this little piece right here in the corner. So this one's going to have to go back in for more, but the other ones I'm going to take out and they are ready. Let's bring this all together by making this really quick homemade Chick-fil-A sauce. I can promise you, y'all gonna be asking for my Cash App to tip me after this recipe. All I'm doing is adding in some mayonnaise, my favorite barbecue sauce, which is Sweet Baby Ray's, some yellow mustard, and some honey. Whisk it all together and it is good to go. Do you wonder how many chicken nuggets you fed your kids during the course of this pandemic? Well, I haven't counted and I don't really care, but let me tell you something. My kids do not get tired of the chicken nuggets because I serve them with this Chick-fil-A sauce. They really think we're going to Chick-fil-A every day for lunch. And that's a wrap, everyone. Chick-fil-A sauce is done. Our biscuits are ready. Our chicken is ready. Look at that. Whew, Lord, I can't even talk. It looks so good. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. Please share this video with your family, with your friends, with your followers. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I am pushing out one tutorial every week and you definitely do not want to miss it. Take care.